Hi there, my name is Olivia and welcome to this course. I want to start by telling you how I ended up here, teaching men, because it's not the obvious path for a woman. And I think the real answer is more useful to you than any credential I could list. I grew up with a father who was emotionally distant. He was an immigrant and he carried what a lot of men of his generation carried, including alcoholism, and a way of moving through the world where his feelings were somewhere unreachable, even to him. I loved my father, and growing up the way I did meant I had a lot of my own work to do. Reprogramming my nervous system, learning to feel safe in my own body, learning what emotional presence actually looks like, because I didn't grow up with a model for it. That work is what led me, eventually, to the patterns I kept repeating in my relationships. For a long time, I kept attracting a certain kind of man. Men who were drawn to my aliveness, my openness. Something in them recognized something in me that they hadn't felt safe enough to access in themselves. And I felt that. I felt them relax around me in a way they probably hadn't with many people before. But eventually, every time, I would hit a wall, a distance I couldn't close. And I would find myself feeling the pain they hadn't processed, the grief sitting just below the surface, the parts of themselves they had shut the door on years ago and never gone back for. I'm a human design reflector, which means my energy centers are open. I feel what other people are feeling. It's part of how I'm built. And for a long time, it was painful because I was absorbing what these men were carrying without either of us fully understanding what was happening. And then I did something that changed everything. I looked at my own part in it, because the truth is, I was also emotionally unavailable. In my own way, in my own patterns, I was doing a version of the same thing. And only when I took accountability for that, only when I turned toward my own closed places and started doing that repair work on myself, did what I was attracting begin to change. The way I was showing up started to shift. That is the work, and it is not small. This showed up everywhere in my relationships, but nowhere more clearly than in sexuality. In where a man was actually present during sex or managing it from somewhere outside of himself, and whether intimacy felt like genuine contact or like two people performing at each other, and whether he knew what he actually wanted and could stay with that intensity of it without checking out or rushing to the finish. That kept showing up, and I got curious about it in a way I couldn't ignore. That question of what men actually need that nobody is giving them led me into years of training. I became a certified Vita men's sexuality coach, one of the most comprehensive certifications that exist by Layla Martin. I spent 6 years as a breathwork facilitator working directly with the body. I've trained in somatic practice and tantric and Taoist traditions in the specific landscape of what it takes for a man to actually come home to himself. And I've sat with a lot of men, one-on-one, in depth, over time. What I found over and over is the same thing. Men who have never been shown how to inhabit their own bodies, who learned to hold everything together and never learned what it feels like to let go, who have enormous capacity for presence, for depth, for pleasure, for genuine connection, and no map for how to get there. This program works with all of that directly. The body, the breath, the nervous system, a man's sexuality, consciously, probably for the first time. The parts of himself he was taught to shut the door on and never go back for. This is the embodiment work. This is how a man stops performing and starts actually feeling in his body, in sex, and how he shows up with the people he loves. I'm a woman teaching men's work, and what I know from years of being close to men, of feeling what they carry, and from doing my own version of this work on myself is this. The man a woman most wants to be with is not the most skilled. He is the most present, the most genuinely in his body, the most actually there. Everything in this program is in service of that. If you want to go deeper than what this program offers, the one-on-one work is where we really go deeper into it. But start here. Start with the program guide, then go stage 1. I'll see you there.